The hood call it Ludiac, and I'm on this foolish track, so I spit my foolish flow. My hands go up and down, like strippers' booties go. My verses still be serving, tight like a million virgins. Last time on a college remix, now I'm on the original version. Can't never count me out, y'all better count me in. Got 20 bank accounts, accountants count me in. Make millions every year, the South champion. Cause all I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there.
Welcome back. Excuse me. It's your girl AJ, Suburban Radio Princess here. And you know what? I'm here simply because I just want to talk more about how my Eagles have stayed winning since February 4th, which was literally a month ago and a day tonight. Welcome to Birds of a Feather. I don't know what number this is. I don't really care. I felt like making a podcast because I took a nice little brief break because it was nice to kind of reflect and constantly see the images of everybody's memorabilia, flags, sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, everything. Everybody is literally sealed with an Eagles somewhere on their body, whether it be outward wear. People are getting tattoos of the score from the Super Bowl, 41-33. There's so many things going on. And now apparently the most exciting thing and most random thing I've noticed since the Super Bowl is it seems like everybody in the national news is trying to kind of cash in on it by acknowledging the Eagles winning. You know, at first it did seem like it was more so going towards the fact that Brady lost, but I feel like now people are looking at the Eagles like, we got to look at this team a little seriously now. I mean, Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone, who pretty much disappeared from all mainstream movie life, randomly tweets in the middle of the Oscars, no less, saying that the best original score was actually 41-33 Eagles. Now that was a random tweet, and I still debate if it's really him or if it's just somebody with his name, because, you know, a lot of people do fake accounts. But I think that's the most random tweet I've ever seen in my life, and I thought it was awesome because to me it's showing you that there's people out there who actually probably, just as shocked as the fans are and the city of Philadelphia still can't get over it, but it really did shock a lot of people that they follow through this time. And the reason why I opened up this podcast, I haven't done it in a while, but I felt like starting with the DJ Khaled song is just basically showing the trends that have developed since February 4th's win. The Sixers got on an 11-game streak at home. The Flyers were hot, literally, and kind of still are, even though they've had a few losses recently, but both the Sixers and Flyers are basically on the precipice of getting into a playoff round. And this is a good thing because this same Eagles team that won this past season a year ago did not look like this team at all. In fact, the only promising thing on the team last year was Carson Wentz. And now it's Carson Wentz, but he had to take a back seat to Nick Foles, who was the MVP of the Super Bowl. How many times did you tell yourself that was going to happen? None. You know why? Because no one saw it coming. I, for one, am very excited just in general because I feel like our city is getting the looks that we've been dying to get. Now, mind you, I still am never going to be convinced that anyone's going to fully respect our city because we are so blue collar. But you know what? It took a while for the Steelers to finally get themselves respect other than being that other town up in western Pennsylvania. But at the end of the day, I really do feel like the Eagles kind of started something that basically made a clear path for all the other all the other three teams, to build on. I mean, the Phillies are just finishing up their Grapefruit League. Granted, they're not really impressing, but there are some hits and some, big home runs being made during these games. And I think they just won a game yesterday, actually. But the Phillies have a lot to work with. So this year may not be their year. This may be the year that they're learning under their new coach, Gabe. And they may just have to kind of spend their time being a little nostalgic and, remembering the players that are no longer there in the meantime while all the these new faces get on the team permanently and learn how to gel. It took only a year and a half for Carson and basically all the new faces to gel, and in the same year, a year later, win a championship. So anything is possible. But the problem is now, because of all these Super Bowl trends and all the effects that the winning has done for Philly, it's also brought out the sports radio part that I hate to listen to every day. Callers predicting who's going to do what in terms of trades, who's going to draft this person. I personally am not really intrigued by the NFL draft. I watched the combine because I was home. I had nothing else going on this weekend. I watched some of the linebackers run. I watched some of the DE guys. I watched some tight ends and some wide receivers. But honestly, quarterbacks, I'm not excited. I don't really see anybody being the next Carson Wentz. But Carson Wentz didn't seem like the next Carson Wentz to people at the time. So you just never know. This is a really murky period because we're just borderlining the draft and then finding out what free agents will be traded for the next season. And then there's going to be the question of who is Kirk Cousins leaving the Redskins for? It seems like it's leaning towards Vikings if you ask some pundits. If you ask Twitter, it seems like it should be Denver. I personally don't care. I know if he's not in our division anymore, that's fine. But I also kind of scratch my head thinking, well, is Alex Smith really going to blow the roof off the Washington either? I don't think he will. I mean, there's very few quarterbacks even now who started when they were younger and are still playing that have really made that much of an impact. I mean, Carson Wentz didn't even get to finish out how great of a stellar year he was having until his injury, which allowed him just three shy games of a full season. Now, mind you, it gave me confidence from day one anyway. It made me excited for the offseason last year because I knew that Carson was going to build on what he started. But to have it end that way must have been so frustrating. And even to see him hold the Lombardi trophy like he did before he gave it to Nick, you could tell he really, really felt like he had earned that award. It just formally wasn't his. I mean, well, it is his, but he wasn't the MVP. But we all know Carson Wentz was the MVP of 2018, and Doug Peterson definitely was the coach of the year because nobody thought that he would actually do or design a play called the Philly Special that would clinch the whole damn game. That play is pretty much becoming, I don't know, it's equivalent to a Super Bowl touchdown dance that everybody, equivocates with a player, like, when Ray Lewis comes out of the tunnel and he does his little Dirty Bird dance. And the Philly Special is going to define Nick Foles for the Eagles. And well said, because I really feel like someone who earns an MVP just from stepping up his game within less than, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, let's face it, I gave up on the team for a brief minute after the Giants and Raiders game because they did not gel. And I thought for sure that whatever was going on with Nick was not translating to the team. And so I felt like, well, up-ish creek without a paddle. But the way that Nick carried himself during those last couple games, especially during the NFC Championship game, you knew that he had taken a step in the right direction, and you knew that he probably looked deep within and said, I know I'm this guy because I've been this guy before. So where is he? I got to find him. And he found him. And boy, did he find him. He got a little cocky, too, toward the end of the game, to the fact where he truly believed in his team, but he also acted like he'd been doing this all year. And that's the kind of trick you got to sell. And if that Philly Special trick was the one that really nailed it for this team, then so be it. And the fact that they even took a gamble on that, knowing they'd only really gone over it a couple times, it turned out to be one of Doug Peterson's, I think, defining moments in his coaching career, his very early coaching career. I mean, there's a lot of firsts going on with this team. We have a lot of players now that were in this murky period who will not return due to cap salary, but they can leave with the ring. There's a lot of guys that were only here on one-year contracts, with the exception of Alshon Jeffrey, who can leave the team saying they got a ring. And not many people can say that. Corey Clement, Glassboro, Jersey, stand up. Homie was undrafted, okay? Nobody looked at him. Nobody thought he was fast. And yet you see that freaking, 70-yard run he pulled off toward the end of that game that pretty much set up Zach Ertz to get in the end. No, that was the touchdown he got. But it set up for another score for him. So you can't tell me that the combine and all this guessing that everyone's doing right now and playing, Twitter coach and couch coach is really going to make a difference between now and April. I'm just more upset that I have to watch some of this draft be in Dallas, knowing that the Eagles just won the Super Bowl. Now, if you could switch things and we had the draft this year and the Super Bowl was won the year before, it probably would have an even bigger impact knowing that we had won and then we were hosting the draft the following year. Like, it was out of control before the team had even formed. So imagine what it would have been like this year if the draft was still in Philly. I mean, you're talking about people won't be able to get around for days, for weeks. People have to work from home because traffic was such a pain to those who were trying to get to work during that week. And it was a nightmare for commuters, but it was wonderful for sports fans, especially Philly fans alike. But I digress. The whole point of this podcast is just basically taking a seat back and looking at how one little shift in mindset on a team can basically create a domino effect amongst other teams. Now, like I said, yes, the Sixers lost a big one that they pretty much had in hand against Milwaukee the other night. But it doesn't mean that they haven't seen what can be done. A lot of these teams don't seem as clueless. Like right now, we don't know what the Phillies are working with just yet because everything is so new. And a lot of those faces are not familiar to me at all, except for the few guys that I remembered from last year's team. The coach is new, the staff is new, everything is new on the Phillies. So the only thing I'm definitely going to be excited for the Phillies is just sitting out and having a hot dog or whatever, a hot pretzel, and just watching Aaron Altair, bust out another home run. But we also didn't know what to know. We didn't know what to expect after Carson barely got this team into a decent. Well, not even decent. 7-9 wasn't decent, but at least getting the team to a point where you kind of knew that he could handle quarterbacking a team. And when God wants you right in the place, he will put you in the right place. And Carson was definitely put in the right position at the right time. He just had to learn patience this year. And I am not the most patient person in the world, so I can imagine how it felt like for him to have to sit the rest of that year out. And you knew he was going to be on the sidelines from the week or two after he was first injured, because they said the minute he came out of surgery, he was already trying to FaceTime people and find out what the next plays were for the next game, and he wasn't even playing. So that's the kind of mindset that we needed and we hungered for as fans to watch manifest its way through a team. And this is the team that we hope keeps the same mentality for the next season. Even if it's not the same players, we pray that some of those key elements will return, if not channel itself through any of the new faces that will be on the team next year. Granted, the Eagles don't have to do a whole lot of cutting, but they're gonna cut some people that everybody has gotten comfortable with in such a short period of time that it's going to be just as stressful to say bye to them. Brent Selleck being the veteran, like I said to him when we were at our office party, our holiday postseason party, and I told him, I said, no matter what you do, I hope you just decide to stay here with the organization in general, even if you're not a player. Like, do something on the side, be a coach, do something. I don't see Brent Selleck being on another team, especially when he's given 12, almost 13 years of his life as an Eagle. And now, him being a father and, borderline all-time pro tight end blocker, I think that he has made a nice little legacy for himself. And why not? When you're on the Eagles team and you're a part of this climate of fans who just live, eat, sleep, and breathe Eagles football, you kind of feel like it was your duty to at least give them something to remember and not just another menial in-between title that doesn't scream champions of the world like the Super Bowl does. And now that that's happened, it still seems surreal. I mean, to me, it's very still much a raw emotion. It's just, but it's hanging in between heaven and hell somewhere where it's there. It makes you excited, but you still feel like you can't touch it. You still feel like it's not a reality. Well, as I heard on my way coming home tonight, I found out that the Eagles are deciding to release the formal NFL Films documentary regarding the whole season up to the Super Bowl just like they had back in 2005. And as much as I still love that DVD, even though they didn't win, I do love how the NFL paints such a very romantic, dramatic, true portrayal of the whole season and up to the Super Bowl, if not the Super Bowl itself. So that DVD apparently is coming out tomorrow. And I wish I was at the NovaCare tonight, because apparently they had a special viewing for certain press and, I don't know, I assume people who won, fans or whatever, got to sit and watch the whole DVD front to back. And I definitely can't wait. I mean, not that we all don't know what's going to happen, but we also don't know what extra stuff they might have thrown in there. Maybe they threw in a lot of training camp. Maybe they threw in preseason practice. I mean, there's a lot of things that they could have thrown in. They could have thrown in how Carson was dealing with, you know, those weeks that we didn't see him, like how he was really dealing. You know, did he have moments? But that's a good thing. But hopefully it'll continue to motivate the Sixers, because right now the Sixers are in danger of dropping to a 6 or 7 seed when they really, honestly, are capable of at least a 4 or 5. I said the 5th seed, but after this game this past Sunday, I kind of thought, okay, they're still showing a lot of their rookie mistakes. Now, mind you, Joel has been on there forever. He's not really a rookie. He's almost like a rookie reborn. Whereas Ben kind of had a false start last year with his ankle. So now it's like he's playing like it's his last game every night. Now, mind you, sometimes we all get on Ben about how he doesn't really shoot from the perimeter and all that stuff. And I've seen less hesitancy, but he still has a long way to go. But he's also the youngest one. Then you have Fultz. Whatever the heck is going on with that kid, we don't know. All we know is that the Sixers do not trust this kid to dress up and play yet. And I, for one, feel like it's either now or never. It's almost like what people have told me when I've been terrified of the fact of driving a highway again. Like, I feel like all my anxiety will come back and I don't feel I'm safe. And maybe secretly the Sixers are thinking the same thing. You know, mentally, maybe this kid was not really all there as far as killer instinct. And then his physical kind of became an issue with his shoulder. And it kind of makes you wonder, are they holding back because they don't believe in him, or does he not believe in himself? And we don't know that. That's not something you're going to see every night. I just know the minute they decide to finally get over this and just push Fultz on the floor, maybe those, 10-point gaps or 20-point gaps that start to creep up toward the end of the game will be erased if Fultz is there to clean it up. Now, mind you, I think the problem with Brett Brown as a coach is that sometimes I don't think he knows how to juggle all his marbles. And I think the problem is when you have a lot of talent, or at least you have a lot of big guys who can help you, it kind of feels like you're playing Monopoly, but another part of you knows that if you put in the wrong players, you could end up going to jail. And so I think what happened was during the game, as much as the little I tried to watch it because I didn't want to jinx it while I was watching the Oscars, I knew something was strange when they were like almost 30 ahead in the first quarter. Usually if the Sixers start off hot, that means they're most likely going to screw it up towards the end. Although for a couple of months, it was actually not happening. So I thought, okay, maybe they figured out how to close games now. So I guess I have to agree with Mike Missinelli saying that they just showed their youth again. And the problem is that's not going to get them past the first round if they keep doing that. Now, mind you, everybody who calls on the radio these days are basically feeling like if Brett doesn't need to be fired, then they need to put Fultz out there, or they need to trade Ben, or they need to trade Embiid, which is stupid because we waited this long to get this much of a nucleus. So why the hell would you trade any of the major guys? I think fans get itchy for success, especially because the Eagles seem like they left such a legacy in a short amount of time, and then all of a sudden both teams caught fire at the same time. So everybody said, hell, they can do everything, so why are they losing? Well, there's a point where you lose players, injuries happen, and hell, you have days where players just lose their umph. You don't know what it means. You don't know if it means it's going to cost a playoff, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a hockey person, but I believe that the Flyers are slowly getting there. But they only have so much time to do it. And the Sixers, the same thing. They only have less than like 20 games left. So if they can't get it gelled at the right time and get back on a streak, they're not going to make the 6 or 7 seed. And that would be horrible. to know they gave that up after all the work they seem like they're doing. And Joel's been playing consistently with occasional rest in between. But I think even if his body does betray him, I think he's determined to get over mentally the crutch of feeling like he can't play, or at least letting the team tell him he can't play. I, for one, I'm still incredibly motivated and incredibly impressed by how 2018 is already opened in terms of sports. And it does motivate me to want to call into my radio stations more, because I feel like all this talk in between right now, where everybody's kind of hearing things and tweeting it as they go. The latest rumor with the Eagles was that Vinny Curry was going to be released, and then Ian Rappaport from the NFL networks quickly walked that back when they said they were basically restructuring, possibly in talks to renegotiate his salary. There are certain players to me that are not worth all the money that they supposedly think they're going to deserve, because you have to consider your age, how bad do you really want it, how comfortable you are in terms of your family living there. Like, do you feel like uprooting everybody? And most importantly, do you care about having the same kind of chemistry and winning another Super Bowl like you did with this team? As long as it took to finally get everybody on the same page, is it worth it? Or can you just bite it and then just hope you get a bunch of endorsements? Vinny does a lot of community charity work, so I would hate for him to go simply because he is a very good staple on the community front. You know, not different from if Malcolm Jenkins decided to just hang it up after this year. You know, he's a very important face in Philadelphia public politics and social change. So I feel like these guys that do go are only simply going for the fact that it's a salary issue and not because they don't want to be with the team. Like everyone says, it is a dirty business, and then it does come down sometimes to who stepped it up a little more consistently than you did. Now, mind you, Vinny was not really a factor last year, but a lot of people weren't factors. But a lot of guys that Howie kind of did his little dealings behind the scenes makes it even harder for Howie to try to bail some of these guys out, because he kind of really went against the grain just to keep anybody and keep certain players. And I don't think he wants to get rid of any of these players, but he also knows people like Trey Burton, who was a major factor in the Super Bowl, is going to demand more pay, as he should. But he can also start somewhere and still give a couple, if not 3 to 5 good years in him, and start anew with another team. And same with LeGarrette Blount. I mean, he can decide to retire because he's got 3 rings. Or maybe 2, I don't know, maybe 2. But he's an OG in so many ways, but he did manage to fit in whenever he could, just like Jay Ajayi did, that I wouldn't be able to see. I wouldn't see Blount retiring necessarily right away, like maybe a 2-year deal somewhere just to finish it out. But all these guys will leave with a part of the championship because they know they all had a role. And they all contributed in very big ways. Yes, it's not fun as a fan to see your favorites leave, but again, you get emotionally attached, but it doesn't mean anything. This is why I don't buy jersey numbers too much. I stick to the t-shirts, because t-shirts can be worn underneath the sweater, whereas a jersey, you're pretty much, you can wear a hoodie with it, but it's a lot more money to waste knowing that number is not going to be the same number for the rest of your life. So yes, there are certain things that are being thrown out there now that seem very ridiculous. At one point I remember seeing on Twitter something about bringing LaShawn back. I think LaShawn took 2 years to mentally get himself together from being angry for being let go. And I don't think he would come to Philly just for any contract anymore, because he knows what he's worth now. And he also knows he had to grow up. And I think it's kind of hard sometimes to kind of bite your tongue and go back to the place that let you go without giving them a fight. So I don't really see LaShawn just strolling back like it's nothing. As much as he loves his hometown, I don't see him coming back. And Deshaun hasn't really convinced me that even he wants to leave Tampa Bay, as much as he just doesn't maybe care for his quarterback. But again, Deshaun, he's young still, even if he is a father now. And I don't know if he's willing to risk having to keep himself in tip-top shape to impress another team when he can just chill in Florida until the wheels fall off. Whether or not Jameis can get himself together or they just totally get a new quarterback, which I'm sure they're going to do. I wouldn't want to leave being in the South to come up north for a team that may or may not start me. It would just be an insult at this point, especially when he pretty much ran this place when he was here. So again, bringing LaShawn or Deshaun back is a cost, so that's not even a thought. The way the combine looked, it looks like the more pressing issues are linebackers to replace Kendricks, Hicks, because Hicks will probably start, but he probably won't finish because his body doesn't seem to hold up. And O-line and D-line. Like, there's going to be people to replace Curry. There's going to be people to replace Jason Peters if he gets hurt again, if he decides to walk. There's so many different things that could happen. But as the Sixers, they could have a major flip too in people, because they have so many guys that they could flip and probably get the price for the Greek Freak guy they just played this weekend, and then Orso, this LeBron rumor that keeps trying to find ground. So you never know what the Sixers going to do. They may flip the script totally after this year's over. I definitely don't see the point in firing Brett Brown because they've gotten so close. Yes, it's frustrating, but I don't think Brett's the problem. I think it's the ownership. I think that Colangelo needs to go, and I think that Allen Iverson should take over. I think Allen Iverson should have a more prominent front role because he could probably get some grimy players that will keep the Sixers honest. And not even grimy. I shouldn't even assume grimy, but just I think that Allen's smart enough on the business side enough to know who's a good player and who's not, who's got the fire in him and who doesn't. So I think that maybe he could move to a scouting role. He could be the guy that kind of gives them like, that's a stupid deal. Don't do that. So I don't know. I even want Pat Croce back, and I know that's kind of pushing it, but I just don't think the Colangelo guys know what they're doing. And I think there's just been too many issues with this injury thing, and the reason why, Jahlil Okafor didn't work for us. It's just, there's so many things that to me come from the top of the Sixers organization as opposed to the coach. The coach just only does what they give him. And he can only work with what he can. Yes, he sometimes doesn't seem to keep the right personnel in at games that they need to win. I mean, I do believe that Rashard Holmes should be playing more than he is. But again, from what I just listened to Devon just say tonight on The Fanatic, Rashard has certain roles that work for him and certain roles don't. And I feel like that when the coach knows that he can't go up against this mix of people, that he doesn't use him. It does seem like he only plays him like once every month as opposed to every other game or whatever. Hopefully that'll change. And as far as the Phillies, Gabe Kapler will hopefully mentally get the Phillies back into a flow, and they'll have more steady wins. I know Grapefruit League doesn't tell you much, but I don't think Reese Hopkins or this, I think its name is Kingery, will have an issue. I'm glad Aaron Altair is back. I hope he can do a whole season because he's been injured, and I don't think he's worked a whole season since his first rookie year. And I'm hoping that we retire Jimmy Rollins like he's putting out there, since him and Gabe just took a little snappy snap in Florida. And Ryan Howard. I hope that Ryan Howard retires and comes back on the Wall of Fame, and we celebrate him, Ryan, the late, great Roy Halladay, and hopefully the opening game in April this year will actually be a win and not a loss. That would be a wonderful thing. So, needless to say, I wanted to give my thoughts on Birds of a Feather because everything in this podcast is related to Philly sports. And like I say, Birds of a Feather is not just Eagles. It's all of the 4for4 teams, just to show that we're all love the same sports in different ways. And you don't have to be a major fan. You could just love the passion. You could just love going to the games. You could just love wearing the t-shirts and rocking jerseys. Just being part of the fray. It's fun. And for my next podcast, I will discuss how the draft shakes out. And if not before then, any dramatic names that will be discussed in trade mode and free agency. In fact, yes, I will make that my next podcast. We'll discuss free agency and we'll discuss the possibility of LeBron coming to Philly. I don't think a chance in hell. And then we'll also discuss upcoming rehabs with all the injured birds and what does that mean for Carson starting in 2018 in September. And then April, they will definitely announce all the dates of the regular season. So then I will find out when exactly I will be going to London, whether it be the 21st or the 28th. And that is really more exciting for me for this whole season is the Eagles going to London this year. So there's a lot to look forward to and a lot to talk about. So in that next podcast, I asked you if you feel like you want to email me. And if not, you just want to listen to this on Spreaker as well as YouTube. I will be dropping this link shortly. And I don't know, throw me a line, ajradiocaller@aol.com. Shout me out on Instagram, AJ Sports Radio Caller. And Facebook, AJ the Sports Radio Caller. Love y'all. Thanks for listening. Go Birds. Climb on Sixers, here they come. Go Fly Boys, and get 'em Phils. Take care, guys.
Head on the swivel, you know serving me's a no-no. Clean as a whistle as I pull out in my Rolls Royce. Yellow bone passenger, they see